All right. Jimmy Toscano surprising me. No hard hat despite getting a
Oh,
hard
jeez. What the heck?
despite getting a hard hat
You know
effort.
what? There it is. Dude, you didn't tell me. You didn't remind me. You know what it is? I'm not used to wearing it.
I did, but it was during the time that you couldn't hear me, and I said it immediately. I'm like, "What's wrong with this guy? You put the hard hat over the headphones, huh? Okay,
No, I got the headphones kind of in
that's
the
cool.
back here.
Little
Yeah,
back.
they came to work. They came to.
Yeah.
You know what? They told the Heat not to let them get one, John. They told them, don't let us get one all day is what I heard that today.
You know, it's pretty funny though that you had A-Rod and Jeter at the game.
That is kind of funny, actually.
It's pretty funny, but I'll say this: it was Bobby and I did a preview, and I don't believe it's hard to. I mean, you can't assume a team is going to come back from 3-0 down, but I do believe in the logic behind putting the pressure on when you do win that fourth game, especially if you're coming home for 5. You create a new series. If it was 3-2, you wouldn't think the Celtics were dead and buried. It's 3-1. You take care of business at home, you're putting yourself in the same position you were in twice. What recently against the Sixers and against the Bucks, which is winning a game 6 at home to something you had to do to extend a series and bring it home and win. And they've done that twice. So that's not ridiculous. All of it, when a series goes 3-2, all of a sudden things change. At 3-0, it's impossible to think about it. So did they change things? Yes, 100%. Absolutely. Do you have any faith that they're going to come out and play a good game in game 5? None. Zero. I have none. I don't know. So again,
I just can't say.
I
nobody
don't know.
can say.
What I will say is this. You're going to have the argument that's been going on for the first 3 games, Jimmy, has been, is it all just shooting variance? Is it a make-miss league? You heard Tatum in his post-game commentary just there, well, those shots went in today.
Yeah.
And that's a simple way to look at it, but it's not the wrong way to look at it. Sometimes it is as simple as that. Today, the Celtics made a bunch of shots. Miami missed a bunch of shots, and things flipped. But you can't tell me, in the first half, the Heat were shooting only 33% from 3, and we're leading. And the Celtics were shooting 36. It wasn't the Magic 4. There were other reasons why Miami was leading. They were playing better. They were getting into the paint. They were getting layups. They were getting a lot of things that the Celtics were giving them. The Celtics looked like they just ran it back in the first half and prayed the threes would fall. But in the second half, the threes started falling, but they also played the best defense that they'd played in several games. They were really connected, except for a couple of times late there when they let Butler just walk down the court and get uncontested layups. They played a really good half. That's the ball game. It's not just the threes, but the threes were nice. They were definitely due, but you see how they get buoyed by making a couple of shots. But their defense was real. Al Horford had a really good second half. Marcus Smart had a really good second half defensively. Both ways actually. It was, and then Tatum in the fourth. We've been calling out his name, and he did it. So there you go, game 5.
Yeah, I mean, I think, a few things stand out to me. One, the Celtics hung around. They didn't let the Heat go on a massive run and then fold like we saw in Game 3. We didn't see that. They responded. They were down 6. It almost felt like they should have been down more at halftime. But again, they kept, answering to an extent and keeping that game relatively close. And then in the second half, it was a completely different story. I thought they were the team that came out with a little bit more energy, connectivity. They were playing defense, and you mentioned it. That's something that we haven't seen from these guys in a few games now. Their defense led to their offense. They were getting out in transition. They weren't letting the Heat score, get back, set on defense, set their zone defense, and totally screw with the Celtics. When your Celtics are running and gunning like they were, they don't let the Heat. The Heat don't get to play to their strengths in that situation. So it's all connected. You play strong defense, you get out on the offensive end, you keep the Heat backpedaling, and then now you're on the offensive. And then the Celtics go on their run. It's like, oh, wait a second. We're used to this. This is who we are. I remember how this felt now with our guy scoring. And then you get a guy like Grant Williams who you got to tip your You were in the Celtics hat tonight, John?
I did
Oh my
it.
God, look at you. I
I did
didn't
it.
even know you owned one.
Solidarity. I bought it game 1 of last year's playoff run when I went to that Brooklyn game and raced home and beat those idiots on the court.
Love it.
You were waiting for me for post game.
Victory green hat. Okay. I gotta give a shout
Solidarity,
out to
baby.
Solidarity. Absolutely. Only when they win. Only when they win.
I can't find the victory pink hat. I haven't seen it in weeks.
I gotta tip my cap to Grant Williams. He's obviously taken his fair share of criticism. He was relegated to a end of the bench role. Didn't play. Joe Mazzulla had dusted him off a couple games ago, and he still took the brunt of everybody's anger when he went at Jimmy Butler tonight. You didn't see it. You didn't see him calling out Butler, but you saw him hitting some big shots, some big threes. And he's a guy that, again, we mentioned it before the series started. We thought that he might have an impact, and he is. And it's a head scratcher or a helmet scratcher, if you will, as to why he was completely, invisible and not looked at all. And that, that's a knock on Joe for sure. When you finally decide to play a guy who was part of this team and then for whatever reason wasn't, you decide to go back to him and he is effective. You wonder if they could have used him a lot sooner. They're using him now, and he had an effect on this game tonight. So shout out Grant. Derek White had some big shots. You mentioned Al Horford earlier, and yeah, Tatum in the fourth, and it's good to see. It's one game, but one game at a time.
But
I'm not gonna bet the house on the Celtics here. It was good to see them not go out in 4 games and just completely just fall down the way that they did in game 3.
I refuse to say it was just the shots went in. They played totally different in that second half. The ball was moving.
It was moving.
Shots.
They were driving, kicking out. Yep.
Yes, it was completely different than just whip it around the perimeter and take the first slightly open look you see. It was completely different. With the exception of a couple of Tatum pull-ups, most of these were 3 earned threes. Okay, swung to the open guy. Even the misses were good. Smart missed a couple late. Those were good looks in terms of the flow of the offense. That's what you're trying to get at. That's what they want to do. Completely different the way they went about it. Because they moved the ball, they got open shots. One of the things before, at least in games 1 and 2, Jimmy, it wasn't just not making them. They weren't taking them. They couldn't even get free for them.
Yeah.
So it makes a big difference. They were able to work the ball around to get good looks tonight. It was completely different than how they'd been playing the rest of the series. And yes, the shooting numbers have flipped. Did the shots just happen to fall, or did the Celtics earn their shots? Did they earn their makes? Did they earn it on defense, limiting Miami and what they were able to do? In the second half, absolutely. In the first half, a lot of gimmies. They still had a 30-point first quarter, 56 points at the half, and Miami wasn't even shooting well. Well, they shot 52 from the field, but they weren't shooting the 3. They just gave up layups and open looks, and they were giving them access to the paint whenever they wanted it. They clamped down hard on defense. So both of those things happened. They kind of trusted the process, and that's what you have. You talk about you want to give out some flowers to people that don't normally get them. Grant Williams being one. If this is the Red Sox in 2004,
here we go.
Joe Mazzulla's timeout when Jalen Brown was trapped in the corner is at least the Kevin Millar walk. Okay, right? Okay, it's at least the Kevin Millar walk.
Okay.
At that point, a brilliant timeout, trapped in a corner. They'd cut the lead to 3 after Miami stretched it to 9 to start the third. And then they come out and they get a great possession with 11 seconds left on the clock that ends in a made 3 and a tie game. That's Millar getting on base, and that's Dave Roberts running in there, Jimmy, to pinch run right at that moment. So that Mazzulla timeout, it's the Millar walk. That's what I'm giving it to.
Who was the Ortiz home run? Who was that tonight? Was that like a Tatum 3 or Rob's dunk maybe?
Huh? Later, much later.
Yeah.
That's games from now. But the Millar walk, the
game
Mazzulla
4 is game 4 though. You gotta.
No. That's what happened. No, then after that, just floodgates. They did it.
Yeah.
So it was good. But what else happened, Jimmy? They passed the ball. They played defense. What did they not do in the second half?
Turn it over.
Turn it over twice. Two
Yeah.
turnovers. All half. One came late. One for most of the run when they took
huge.
the big lead. Massive. So they played a cleaner, better, more focused basketball game after kind of worrying me the way they started, Jimmy. Didn't it feel like the same? No urgency. Let's hope for better results. I did not see that second half coming the way they played in the first. It looked like, oh man, can't it just work for us once?
Why are they still playing hard? Why are the Heat still playing hard?
They're so mean. The Heat are so mean. It just didn't look like it was going to go there.
I know it felt very similar, honestly, and they were down 6. I thought they should have been down more. I think somebody texted, like, I don't know who it was, but basically was like, I have zero faith that they're going to win this game. And I think that's how a lot of fans probably felt. I mean,
oh my God, I had to mute my phone. The amount of hate texts I was getting from every person I know, I couldn't keep up with it.
Yeah.
Some of them are on multiple chains with each other too. I'm like, guys, consolidate. Like I can't do this.
You're just copying, pasting the same hate text to everyone
Tatum
you know.
sucks. Yeah, Tatum sucks. Yeah, it's bad.
They don't care. These guys don't care.
They're losers. I couldn't do it. I couldn't keep up, Jimmy.
I know. So again, credit to the Celtics. If they do lose this series,
is one of them. This bastard is texting me too. They were the Afric brothers are letting me have it.
Yeah.
These guys don't text me about basketball. They're lighting me up all night. Anyway, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, if the Celtics can't win 4 in a row here, if they do drop one of the Heat, it's games like this that'll make you think, what the hell? Like, this is they were capable of playing like this so much more often than they did this entire playoffs. They just screwed around, and that's what's so frustrating about this team is when you watch a game like this. Yeah, on one hand you enjoy it. If you can compartmentalize the game, then yeah, of course you're going to enjoy this game. They played well in the second half. They did everything we wanted them to do. But then if you look, out a little bit further, you're like, what the hell is wrong with this team that they play the way they did in game 3 and then they play the way they did in game 4? What changed inside their brains that they're able to do it this way? Honestly, I don't think we'll ever be able to really answer that. And that's why it's impossible to know and to sit here and say, oh, I think they're going to win game 5 or I think they're going to get blown. You have no freaking clue.
They honestly, Jimmy, they're simple creatures. And, it's almost like, you give them a cookie and they're happy, like a couple of threes go down and all of a sudden they're like, oh, I did it. I'm going to go play some defense now, like they just
see one go in, you fire it up.
Yeah. Or they need compliments. They need reinforcement. They need someone to tell them they're pretty. They need to feel good about themselves to be able to go out there and give max effort. They get really down on themselves. They get deflated. They have a everyone's against me sort of thing. They sulk. They don't get back on D when the shots don't fall. It's amazing. It's such a, just their bad offense has such a deleterious effect on the rest of their game. They just fall to pieces.
What effect?
It's bad. It's bad.
The hell word are you using here? Don't let me get out the dictionary. Middle of the show.
Don't let me win one.
Don't let me get one. Don't let us get one.
Don't let us get one. I can't believe that friggin' tired TV, every friggin' TV reporter needs to write their package, and now every news director's telling them, "Oh, let's do thinking they're the only people on the planet who thought of it. Let's
digging up the old highlights. Yep, going to the vault, pulling out.
And Dave Roberts is off with the pitch. Think they're the only people that thought of it, and then at 4:00 A block, every single reporter tosses to the same exact story. That's what happened today.
Yeah, a few of those reporters were probably covering this. I think Rochi must have been there, asking the same questions to the Sox players.
Butchie, every one of those guys, chew it up.
Just dig up the old package, change a couple highlights.
Bing, 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 bing. They did it again. So I don't know.
Yeah, Heat tonight they looked a little bit more like the Heat. I mean, you didn't get the same amount of production from your bench. I mean, Lowry was not much of a factor. Duncan Robinson turned back into a pumpkin tonight. So that was at least somewhat comforting to see that these guys didn't stay consistent perennial all-stars against the Celtics. You still got a great game out of Gabe Vincent and Caleb Martin, and those are the two X factors in this series for the Heat. Nobody expected those guys to have the first 3 games that they did and contribute to the Heat the way they have, and that's why I think everybody was so stunned, because when you looked at this Heat roster, you said, okay, yeah, Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, but after that, it's just not enough. And at least that's, I think, I don't want to speak for all Celtics fans, but I know certainly that's what I thought. So, limiting those guys, and again, they still got 17 to 16 a piece, so it's not like you prevented them from doing anything out there, but you prevented a monster game from either one of those guys, and more importantly, in that second half, they kind of flipped the script on the Heat a little bit, because the Heat were the ones in the last few games that have kind of sucked not the last few games, the last game 3, that sucked the life out of the Celtics.
Yeah.
We got to remember the Celtics blew games 1 and 2. They had the lead in those games. So, completely different situations tonight where they were able to extend that lead in the fourth quarter, in the second half, and live to see another day. If they can just focus on one game at a time, and that's how you have to treat these holes that you dig yourself out of, or that you found yourself in. You got to dig yourself out of them. So Thursday should be an interesting game. I mean, the last thing you want the Celtics to do is to win this. What?
Fly Guy, I think you're a little nervous, buddy. You've been really hitting this chat with the. It's over. It's fine.
Who are you telling, us or you?
Who are you trying to convince, buddy?
Yeah, who are you trying to convince? It would be a shame if the Celtics extended the series to 5 games only to get blown out at home in front of the home fans and get booed off the court.
It'd be the shame if they made me pay to send all the reporters back to Miami for Game 6 and lose there. That's what I don't want to see. If you're gonna do it, save me a buck, okay?
That's true.
Okay. Hey, guys who are putting the same comment in the chat over and over, I see it.
Who are they?
Okay.
I've been actually kicking those people out.
No more of those, okay? I don't want to mute people, but please don't spam the chat, guys. We love you, but we keep it let's keep it fresh. Keep it fresh. We got a lot of thoughts, right?
Use your brains.
I haven't even begun. We haven't even begun. We're barely into this at all. We've barely gone in on Tatum. I'm still giving a gold star to Joe. That timeout I thought was phenomenal. I think everyone was losing their shit when he had Tatum on the bench and they cut the lead to 5 in the fourth quarter, because that was frustrating as hell. But he recognized it, brought him back pretty quick. It was only a 4-0 Heat run at that point. They got it right back when he came back in, but he recognized right then and there, I can't play Malcolm Brogdon anymore. And he stopped. Adjustment. I love it. Okay. He went with the hot hand. Al was playing better than Rob. He stuck with Al. That was a good move. Okay. He didn't just slavishly stick to his thing, because I hated the lineup we started the fourth quarter to. When there's no Marcus and there's no Tatum, they're going to go zone and they're going to eat you alive. That group, that Brogdon Brown group, will never score against the zone ever. So don't do it. You're giving them an opportunity to lock you down. Then when your guys come back in, everybody's messed up. Don't do that, okay? Learn from that from the next game. But he did. He switched it up quick before things got ridiculously out of hand. And that was a big deal because, again, Jimmy, I mean, that got to 5. That was scary, early in the fourth before they really kind of, started knocking down more threes and putting it away.
Yeah,
they had a million great defensive possessions in that fourth quarter too. I love the mic'd up segment where he calls that quick timeout when they had the ball because he just didn't like the possession. That's another one on him. He just didn't like the previous possession that they scored on after Miami went down. The Celtics got the ball back. Timeout. Stop being assholes. He finally had his Ime moment. Stop playing like assholes. Like, go get the friggin' loose ball and run the offense. He stopped them from doing the thing that they do, which is get into this slow down, blah. He was, nope, keep going. He gave them that reminder that we've been screaming about. So big props to Joe for stepping up and like doing these things in this game. I thought Spoelstra, I wouldn't say he was rattled, but Spoelstra didn't have answers. All Spoelstra could do was call a timeout every time they went on a 4-0 run.
Yeah,
he called a zillion timeouts every time that Celtics got 4 consecutive points.
Yeah, and Butler was not really to be found in the fourth quarter tonight. I mean, obviously the lead stretched to be a pretty wide margin, but he didn't have the big bad Butler magic that everyone's talking about. So
Yeah. So all good stuff.
he might be a little tired too. I mean, they've been playing like hard as they could possibly play the last few games too. It's not these aren't easy wins. These aren't easy games to play for them. So I mean, this could be one that they just had to give up on. What's up, Sherrod?
Sherrod Blakely chiming in.
Fellas?
What's going on,
fellas? As you can see, I am here in Miami.
We can see
what
that.
What a game!
You in the club?
I wish. Every arena, every building, every municipality in Miami is a club in some way, shape, or form. So here's what it is. It's what they do. But listen, this was the first half. I thought it felt like Groundhog's Day.
Same thing.
It just felt like, okay, this is how you're going to end the season seriously. And the thing that jumped out to me about this game, and I hope to God that when they look back at the video, that they lock in on that stretch in the third quarter where they just became 5 defensive animals, where they just absolutely, I mean, they scored 10 points off of turnovers in the third quarter alone. We've had games where they don't even get that many points off turnovers for a game. They got that off of 5 turnovers in the third quarter, and that, to me, was the difference in this game. They went on that 16-0 run, but a lot of those points were fueled off of turnovers. And to me, that's the blueprint for beating this Miami Heat team. You're not going – listen, Miami has shot the ball really well throughout the course of this series, and you're going to have to tighten that up a little bit. But forcing turnovers, getting in passing lanes, not giving them free lanes and easy passes to the freaking basket, that's how you're going to win this – that's how you're going to get back in this series, because the idea of winning this series is still too far-fetched to even buy into, but you can absolutely make it more competitive before all said and done.
Facts, my dog. You there, John?
Yeah, I was going to let you chime in.
Oh, my bad. I didn't hear anything, so I thought it was muted or something.
No, I talk a lot, so I was going to let you go.
No, that's good. I mean, Sherrod, I mean, this is night and day from Game 3 when me and you were on this show about to kill, everybody in sight, because
we're going to kill each other, and then we're going to kill everyone else, Jimmy. That's what was going to happen. That was happening.
Yeah, that was what's going to happen.
I think both of us were really pissed that it got to the point that they're down 3-0 in a series that, from top to bottom, talent-wise, they're as good, if not better, than Miami. I think most of us would agree they're better, and it just didn't play like it. And that's, again, what we saw tonight is exactly how they have to play. You have to keep it relatively close, and at some point, you have to turn up the screws defensively and force them and make them uncomfortable. And I thought they did that. The other thing, too, and I talked about this in the Philadelphia series, and I think it came to fruition tonight as well. There comes a point where your role players have to embrace a different level of pressure that they haven't felt before. And playing a team like the Celtics in a closeout game, a chance to sweep them, I thought some of their guys didn't rise to the occasion. Now, I give Gabe Vincent a pass because he got hurt and he wasn't nearly as effective once he came back after, I think it was an ankle or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't think Kyle Lowry stepped up to the moment. I didn't think any of their bench guys really played as well and
didn't do anything.
Duncan Robinson was more like Dunkin' Donuts. Was that Dunkin' Donuts for this game? So
give the Celtics credit, Sherrod. The thing that you led with, I thought that's what I talked about with Jimmy is I think it's very easy to say the Celtics made shots the Heat didn't, but don't tell me the Celtics didn't turn things up defensively. They looked like that unit that had 6 guys out there. Every time Miami, move the ball, and what would normally result in open shooters or lanes to the basket, there was a guy there, and they rotated over quick, and they were quick to recover, and they were quick to help, and they did not leave people open all the time. Jimmy Butler could not get to his spots nearly as easily as he was getting to last game. With a few exceptions, they made him work. He had to pass out of spots where he was normally just turning around and shooting up over guys. So they worked hard. They didn't give up screens nearly as much. It was flat out a choice that they made that I wasn't sure they were going to make after watching that first half. Here's Joe Mazzulla talking about what they did differently here in Game 4 versus the first 3 games.
What was the difference today, and what did you see from your group in those moments where you're able to have big responses and turn this game around?
Yeah, I think just that poise, the trust in each other, the connectivity. I think just throughout a game, regardless of how the game was going, that stuff never waned. And so listen, like when the stakes are really high and you're trying to achieve what we're trying to achieve, it's easy to lose those things, because the guys are playing as hard as they can. And so I just thought regardless of the result, the guys are stuck together.
Yeah, I mean, he's right. I mean, they played absolutely as locked in as we've seen them in this series. There's no question about that. But even, John, just to kind of piggyback off your last comments about Jimmy Butler, even when he got to the spots that he's comfortable with and he's been killing them, he couldn't deliver. I mean, freaking Grant Williams blocked his shot on that baseline.
That
sweet
was
spot.
it.
And to me, the two most important things about that play were Grant got the block, and he didn't say a damn word.
He was so close. He looked at him. He's like, "Oh, I want this," and he just put his head straight and he ran back. But he gave him a little glance, and I was like, "He's gonna do it, isn't he?" I was like, "Oh my God, don't do it."
He knew better. He knew better.
So
he learned his lesson. That's what the playoffs are for. You learn from your whiffs. But this was I don't know how much you guys talked about Al and Derek White. I thought they didn't have monster games, but they did some things that we hadn't seen them do. Al hit a shot early on, which was huge because he hasn't been doing that much at all. And Derek White was very impactful at attacking, trying to score, getting to the basket. And I thought the Celtics, they came into this game with the right attitude that they are not going to just be passive and just kind of let the game come to them. They tend to play a little bit too cool and breezy for me at times. They came in here tonight with a clear game plan, and that is we're going to be aggressive, we're going to be in attack, and we're going to pick up some fouls. We don't give a damn. We're going to have some bad calls go against us. We don't care. We're just going to play the game. And this is what you have to do. The only thing that really pisses me off about all of this is that we're having this conversation in Game 4 and not Games 1, 2, or 3.
I want to go back into the old clips in all Miami post-game stories and headlines for Miami Herald and all of those things, and see if after a Duncan Robinson scoreless game, whether somebody used Dunkin' Donut as a headline. Because if they didn't,
they're idiots.
If they're idiots,
they'd be fired immediately.
Because that's gold. If he
that
played
is
up
so
here,
gold.
if he played in Boston, that would be like every other day. Another Dunkin' Donut.
Yeah, he can't play here. He literally cannot
play here.
Oh man, this was just such just what we've all been waiting for all freaking series.
That's kind of what I said, Sherrod. It's like it's so fresh. If you can compartmentalize the game, great. They played the way we want them to play, but it's like, what the hell is wrong with these guys? Or they can't play like this more often? Or how did they go from Game 3 to Game 4? And like, what should we be able to expect for Game 5? Question for you,
Jalen's going to be like, we got this. I'm going to take Game 5 off and be like, no.
We're done.
I played hard for 24 minutes last game. I'm good, right?
Sure. Did you get a sense, like,
thank you, Lynn, by
today,
the way,
like practice or shoot around, that there was a different mentality with these guys, or is it just who the hell knows?
Well, the biggest difference I noticed, and their locker room before games is pretty quiet regardless.
Yeah.
But it was like a spooky quiet in there today. Al came in and got his bottle of, I'm not going to say the brand because they're not a sponsor, so I'm not going to give him props. But he got his drink, swigged it down, looked at me. I said, "Hey, Al," and he just kind of nodded his head and kept moving. And that was kind of weird because usually we have some type of pleasantry exchange. But to me, it was clear as day he was locked in. Same thing with Marcus. Tatum came in, put his clothes on, went back, went on court and shot. Jalen, there was a clear, we got to handle our business, and we're not trying to do anything or just engulf anything that might be a distraction to us handling our business. And the line that, Marcus put out there this morning about, don't let us win a game. And then Jalen doubled down on that like a few minutes later. And my thinking is this, until tonight, Miami Heat have been like, we're not going to let you win a game. We've done that. And for the first half, it looked like Miami Heat was going to once again do it again. So I'm curious to see how they're going to approach Game 5. Are they going to have the same type of just angry, antagonistic approach to the game that they needed to win Game 4?
I want them to be antagonasty. Is that a word?
Ooh,
it is tonight.
It is now.
It is tonight.
Put on a
Antagonasty.
t-shirt.
That's what I'm looking for.
Yes. I want that. I want antagonasty. Yes.
Good.
Let's get a little antagonasty in the building.
Why not? No, you want to see that. I mean, look, That's
We're
the whole
begging
point.
to see that.
And again, talking in these generalities of toughness and this and that, it just feels cliche, but I mean, it's definitely been a part of the series. The Heat have bullied the Celtics, and the Celtics are supposed to bully the Heat. The Heat are supposed to try to capitalize on your mistakes and sneak in, and if you fall asleep and you're not paying attention, they'll steal one from you. They're not supposed to impose their will. They did it for 3 games and a half. Oh, you know what I mean? Like, they really did. Like, that first half went the way it goes for Miami. They just didn't hit as many shots, and they still had a lead because they were dictating everything that was going on in the game. For the first half of the series, the Celtics imposed their will.
Right.
That's it. That's the first time they were like, wait a second. You wake up and you're like, I'm the big strong guy. Like, why am I letting you push me around? Like, I'm supposed to be the bully, and they kind of did it a little bit. And the way you bully people is not by hoping threes go down. The way you bully them is by opposing your defensive will on them and breaking their spirit, not letting them break yours. So again, one goes hand in hand. They doubled down on their defensive effort. I don't know if it's a chicken or the egg thing. Do they need to hit some shots to be in a mentally good enough place, Sherrod, to play some defense? Or did they actually say we're going to play right now?
I thought the defense got going before the shot making did.
Yeah, I think so too. So too.
But the one thing that I don't think the cameras caught, certainly didn't catch enough of, is the physicality that the Celtics played with in the paint. There were times where Robert Williams was hitting Bam with a direct elbow to the gut, and Bam would hit him with an elbow to the gut. And you got Gabe Vincent giving Tatum a shot to the chest, and Tatum using the elbow clear out for a jump shot and did it right in front of the refs, and they didn't make any call on that. Doing those type of things is what's going to get you back into the series for the Boston Celtics. You have to play a much more aggressive and intentionally aggressive brand of basketball. You can't just, get angry at a no call and then do something. No, you have to be the initiator of the aggression. And I thought tonight was a game in which they did much more of that than we've seen in the previous 3.
Yeah, and again, I don't know what happened there. And maybe they did come out with the mentality. It just, I don't know. The Heat mucked it up for them in the first. I do like seeing things, and I'll ask your perspective on it, Sherrod. I'm not sure if you're able to see it, but for us not in Miami, I know you Bobby and Josue obviously are. You have a different perspective of things, but the reports on the broadcast were during the timeout very, very animated. People talking to people. Players grabbing players, coming in here, going in on them. Not in a, like, what the F are you doing sort of way, but in a, like, let's get it going way. And Tatum was one of those guys that they were saying is doing it. Al, obviously. I want Jason Tatum grabbing people all day long and telling them what they should be doing. That's what you're supposed to be doing as the leader. That's the right thing. So, again, I don't know if you noticed that, and whether or not but almost everything about their affect on the court and then what was reported that they were doing when they were coming off it showed a team that had decided we're not going out like that. That's what it looked like much more in the second half.
Yeah, they absolutely not only played with a sense of urgency, but they talked about the game throughout with a sense of urgency. And you're right, John. It wasn't just your usual suspects, Marcus Smart and Al Horford. I mean, you had Robert Williams,
Grant.
You had Tatum, you had Grant. Well, Grant's always going to talk, but Grant was much more constructional in this game.
Yeah.
Bottom line is they figured out, and I don't know why the hell it took them this long to figure this out, but they figured out that if we simply play aggressive, play antagonistic, and just really play with an edge, we're going to win this game.
Yeah,
you have to play with an edge, and again, I thought they made the Miami Heat pay for disrespecting them. Like Grant Williams had, I think, 3 or 4 threes, and every last one of them pretty much was open, and it was absolute total disrespect, and it's the kind of disrespect that we saw in Game 3 early on that the Celtics weren't able to capitalize on. And this was again, I thought they did just so much better job of playing with a much better pace. I was a little bit bothered by what the hell they were doing in the fourth quarter, where Tatum was just walking it up again and slowing it down
a couple times.
Yeah, and he didn't do it nearly as much as we've seen him throughout this series, but it annoys me when I see that, because I know he's so much better when he puts the defense on skates and is attacking him and getting the ball up court quickly. But again, the bottom line is they handled their business. They gave themselves a chance to live to see another day, and we'll see what they can do in Game 5.
Yep,
I thought
we
Tatum
will
was.
see.
I
Go
thought
ahead,
Tatum
Jimmy.
was great tonight. No, I thought Tatum did everything tonight that you wanted out of your, number one guy. Even he did get hot in this fourth quarter, which was awesome because we've all been waiting for that to happen. And he hits that field goal there late, not late. I mean, in late in the game, I guess in the fourth quarter. But before that, I mean, he was all over the place. I liked how he was aggressive, driving to the hoop. 11 rebounds, 7 assists right there, 14 of 22, very efficient. And he hit his 3-pointers, which we've seen go the other direction a lot, more recently than not. So,
and the one thing I did like about him, Jimmy, not to cut you off, but he had 3 turnovers in the first damn quarter. He only had 2 the rest of the game, which I thought was one of those really huge, stats that if you look at the final boxer, you think he had a real crappy game in terms of handling the ball with 5 turnovers. But he had 3 in the first quarter, and from second quarter on, he was so much more locked into making the right reads and not being a liability in terms of handling the ball in turnovers.
Yeah. And the team was too. We mentioned it earlier, Sherrod, but just 2 turnovers in the second half. I mean, that's a huge reason for that. A huge reason for the way the Celtics were able to extend that lead. I mean, they're not giving up possessions. They're not allowing the Heat to get more shots off. And, if they just, that's kind of like something that you'd expect the Heat to do. Like we talked about the Heat, like they don't beat themselves. Tonight, the Celtics didn't beat themselves. They actually played smart basketball. They played collected, connected. Even I saw on Twitter, Marcus Smart sat down in the coach's chair, I guess, at one of the timeouts and was just drawing up plays for the guys. I don't know if that's a great look for Joe, but it's good to see the team communicating.
You know what, Jimmy? At this point, and I was texting with a former player, just catching up with some things, and I asked him about just like coach player protocol, and he said his last text to me, just get the F and win. Don't matter how you do it, just get the F and win. If player got to call it. If the coach has to make a call, it doesn't matter at this point. It's how can you keep your season alive?
Rondo probably called half the plays for Doc anyways.
Jimmy, do not talk about Doc Rivers.
Dude, Jimmy.
Come on, Jimmy. Come on.
There was some Doc Rivers to Boston chatter the last couple of days after game.
Stop it.
Hey,
stop it.
I didn't. It wasn't my chatter, but there was some of it.
He'd be a hell of a lead assistant, wouldn't he?
I also think one of the things with Tatum, and again, a little bit with approach, I think he was over eager in some of his drives, just trying to put his head down and go. He actually, you could see he was almost changing pace, getting into the lane, little hesitation. His angles were a little bit different, just the way he was going. He wasn't just forcing into things. He'd almost get into one level and then make another move, getting into another. So he was finishing a lot more creatively in terms of how he was getting there, because he was able to get right to the rack when he really wasn't before. It looked like he was just going in to that. And you're right. I think they were very disciplined, Judah. I agree there. Very disciplined on the Jimmy pump fakes, all game. I mean,
my Uncle Mike just texted me the same thing, so I had to post that comment up.
No, that's fair. That's fair. We're going to keep going. We'll tell you again. Again, if you took the Celtics to come back in this one, I'm telling you, the odds were good. You could have made, I don't know. Anyway, doesn't matter. If you're interested in jumping in on the action here, and if this is the type of thing that you do, and if you don't, you don't. But if you do, FanDuel is the place to do it. It's America's #1 sportsbook partner of the NBA throughout the playoffs here, and the official sportsbook and exclusive wagering partner of the CLNS Media Network. All you need to do is go to FanDuel.com/Boston. If you do that, that's how they know we sent you. So we would appreciate it if you are to sign up. Go right there and take advantage of this offer. Right there, a no sweat first bet up to 1,000 in bonus bets. That means you lose, you get 1,000 back. It's not a bad deal, and you live to bet another day. So again, no sweat first bet up to 1,000 when you sign up at FanDuel.com/Boston. Super easy to download app. You get paid right away. No hassle, no worries. Once again, FanDuel, exclusive wagering partner of the CLNS Media Network. So yeah, we talked a little bit about Tatum.
Real quick,
yeah,
John,
go ahead.
If you can bet the Celtics right now, they're plus 230 to win the Eastern Conference, which isn't that great. That's not that high.
Hey Jimmy, what's the line for Game 5? Do you know?
Yeah, I got it right here. Game 5, the line is Celtics -8.
Damn.
-8. So
People
Vegas
in the
thinks
chat. People in the chat are saying that the ESPN model is back to thinking the Celtics have a 98% chance of winning the series or
is
something.
that true?
I don't know if they're
Yeah, I
messing
think
with me
they're
or not.
joking. They
I
have to
don't.
be joking.
They might be messing with me.
Yeah, they have to be. But I mean, if you want to toss $1,000 on the Celtics at plus 230 to advance, that wouldn't be a bad payout.
Don't ask people to bet $1,000,
Well, no,
Jimmy.
it's $1,000
Jimmy.
bonus. You get 1,000 back in bonus bucks if you do. That's
Yes.
all. That's all.
Yeah,
Not
I know.
saying to do it, but if you did, you get it back in bonus bucks. It doesn't mean you can just cash out your bonus bucks, guys, but you can rebet it, and then you can win that, and then you can cash that out.
And you're definitely going to win the second if you lose the first. That's what Jimmy Toscano's telling you.
Exactly. You learn from your mistakes.
Sorry, we're waiting on Marcus Smart talked in the locker room, giving some flowers to Grant. We're going to say thank you here to Sal.
Thanks,
for this
Sal.
generous. Yeah.
And yeah, Sal makes a very good point. They need to watch old KG and Bird. Is this Nick? Is Nick Sal? They need to watch old
Sal.
KG and Bird films on how to play tough and not give up.
It's not an old enough reference for Nick.
That's true.
KG's too current for Nick. It's Larry,
Havlicek.
Yeah,
it's Hondo.
You got to watch Hondo and Tommy.
Man,
I've said it for years. If you locked KG in a room with like Rob Williams or whoever, those guys would just come out completely different animals.
I don't know if
they don't make them like KG anymore.
I don't know if they come out better.
I do want to.
KG is a bad MF, man.
Sherrod, KG.
And I love that about him.
I never thought I'd see the day. KG sat down on his podcast with Joakim Noah like last week.
Yeah, they took a picture. I saw the picture of that before they did the interview.
I haven't listened to the whole thing yet, but I saw a couple clips. I was just stunned to see it happening after those two just going to war for like a decade.
But you know what, though? Their battles, I think, was more about not necessarily disdain for each other, but just respect. KG,
they talk about that a little bit, yeah.
And and again, he was a hell of a when he was healthy.
Yeah,
he was a jet.
I actually loved Noah. I loved his playing style.
I like Noah a lot.
I mean,
too.
he wouldn't even probably. I don't even know if it'd be in the league in today's NBA where you need to hit 3-pointers as a big man now. But like he was just tough. He would get in your face. He was hard nosed. He would get under your skin. He wouldn't back down from anybody. And that's him and Kevin Garnett probably like hated each other because they were very similar, And so they knew how to get. But going on a tangent here, but
no, this is important stuff that we're covering here.
No, we can, Jimmy. I'm gonna do.
Somebody mentioned KG.
Jimmy, I'm gonna do you a solid and segue from your talk about Noah to a guy that was an important part of this game tonight, who played with Noah.
I'm guessing it's right
Al Horford.
Oh, try
there you go.
Shot.
Yeah, Florida guy.
Al Horford, 42.
Al needed a good game. Didn't
Al
he?
needed it.
He did. I mean, this was the first game where I thought in this series they did a good job of not leaving Al on an island. I thought
he got smoked in the first half a few times, and again, a real bounce back in the second. He had a tough time defending the paint. He had to go out on an open shooter a couple times. First half, I thought he had a tough time, and then he completely turned it around.
He was completely different split, and I don't think it's a coincidence that they started to surge ahead in the second half when Al became a better interior defender and did a better job when he gets those switches. The more I watch him play, the more I realize just how important he is to just the ecosystem of the Boston Celtics. When Al is playing solid, they're solid. When Al is struggling, they struggle. And they don't have anything to really kind of, fill that gap. And these are the times where I think so much about how different this team would be if they had Danilo Gallinari healthy. Because he could give you a little bit of that Al juice that you're just not getting now. And Rob, I think Rob is learning a lot in this series with Bam. I think he's learning a hell of a lot. But he can't get. But when Al is not around, Rob can't adequately give you the things that Al does. Mainly because he's just not a stretch big, and you don't have to respect Rob outside the paint shooting the ball. But Al was good tonight, man.
He was good.
In the second
had
half, he was really
saw
good.
a couple go down early. I think that kind of helped a little bit. And
that was huge. That was huge.
Well, you look. What are you gonna do? I never like the idea of people who do something like for a living stopping to do it just because it's not working. Like for a little bit of time. Like you can't. It does.
Say that again.
Al Horford doesn't work if he's not out there extending the defense and shooting those threes when the ball rotates over to him. It's part of their offense. That's his job when he's on the floor there. If he just stops shooting it, he becomes Rob. And it's just another decoy out there that they don't have to defend. You can't not shoot it. Sadly, that's the same with Marcus, too. It's just frustrating because you don't always want the Marcus shot. But again, Al shot 44% from three this year. Like, I don't want Malcolm Brogdon to stop shooting. I don't want Brogdon to stop shooting it either. You know? Yeah. He's got. Well, look. He didn't have it tonight, but you still want him to take those shots because that's what he does. Like
he's missing shots at the rim.
If the guys who do what they do for you and have done it all year don't do those things, you have a much lower chance of winning. Ultimately, their number's going to get called, and when it's time, they got to do what they do well. And if they don't do it well, that's bad. And then you need to be carried by other people. But it really reduces your chances of winning. You want Al Horford to keep shooting those threes because that's what he's done all year long, and he's done it effectively.
You know what, though, John? The one thing that the Celtics did that was a little bit of a wrinkle when it comes to Al, and I don't know how much, if at all, they're going to do this going forward. I think they should, is when Cody Zeller's on the floor, Al can beast mode his ass like nobody. Al got one shot at Cody Zeller on him, and he just looked at him, turned his back to him, backed his little ass down and lay up. I want to see more of that in that particular matchup because and again, that forces Miami to do some things defensively that they're not used to doing. You want to make them uncomfortable at both ends of the floor. I think Al having a back to the future moment where he's looking to score on that particular defender. I think that's one of those little wrinkles that you can add in Game 5.
To this point, and I was going to point this out because it was an oddity, who was the only Miami Heat player in plus territory in this game?
Probably Zeller.
Cody Zeller. The Celtics could not solve the Zeller problem. I don't know why that was.
Well, you know what? They stopped biting on Jimmy's head fakes, but they started biting on his.
I don't know
that just means he wasn't in for that third and fourth quarter stretch.
Still, he was the only guy in plus territory for the night. +2. Everybody else was a minus.
But that's a matchup I think that they really should try to get some points at the rim. Because Al's strong enough to beast mode him. He put him under he got one shot at doing that, and he put him under the cylinder for a layup. So I want to go back to that if I'm the Celtics.
Yeah, I mean, I think you got to look for that. I mean, look, when Bam's off the floor, you got to really get after it. These are gifts when Butler's off the floor because this is where you're supposed to have been able to win this series. Is like the Heat just aren't. I mean, they're down two important pieces. Already, like when you're taking one of those two guys or both of those guys off the court, and Bam's on-off numbers, Bam's plus minus. Bam's been arguably, really close to Jimmy in terms of overall effectiveness in this series and how good he's been. They should have been feasting on those Zeller, like licking their chops and going at this guy. So I would agree there. But Al, a terrific bounce back game. Marcus Smart, terrific bounce back second half. For someone who was struggling there for the first
half, he wasn't very good.
0.
He was not very good.
Yeah, that was not very good, as they say. Here's Marcus, and let me cue up. I got Marcus here. I don't know what Marcus is talking about yet. You guys.
We'll all find out together.
Well, give me 1 second. I got to make sure I know what he's talking about so I can put it up there for you.
Okay.
Which one is this?
You want us to freelance for a minute?
Yeah, you guys freestyle it. Have fun.
Okay.
You guys do your thing. Hey, Sherrod, what you doing, buddy?
Nothing, John. What are you doing?
Hey, buddy, what are you doing? What are you doing over there? Here,
before we go any further, shout out to Josue. Today's his birthday.
I didn't even know that. Oh, birthday in Miami.
So to get exactly.
No wonder he wanted to go so bad to this road.
I wasn't sure what condition that Josue would be in before tip-off, being as though it's his birthday. I told him to his face, I was pleasantly surprised that he was upright and looks spry, ready to go.
Well, he might have a late flight tomorrow.
I'll tell you what the teenagers did down in Miami, Sherrod. That's what I'm calling that crew. Yesterday when we were talking, I was like, "Hey, should we do a live preview pod at night?" Nobody responded. And then I asked again, "Guys, are we going live?" And they're like, "Yeah, we taped one early. It's exporting now. We're gonna put it up." I'm like, "Okay, I got you. Okay, I know what you guys are doing."
Read you loud and clear.
Oh, they understand all too well what they're dealing with.
The teenagers did not want to be bothered by.
Ahmed is probably at the club as we speak.
All right, here's Marcus Smart.
Marcus, you and Jalen said a shoot around today. Don't let us win one. Obviously, just one game,
God.
but now what?
Now we just got to go win another one. That's all that matters. We take it one game at a time. We understand. The odds are stacked against us, but we're a team that believes in us no matter what, and we just got to keep going. And all that matters is the next game.
Well said.
Don't let us
win one.
You think this you think this line is over? It's just
it's gonna be a T-shirt, Jimmy. It's gonna be a T-shirt at the game.
It's not gonna be a better seller than the Antagonasty T-shirt.
No,
we got that one.
I'm gonna whip out in time for Game 7. That's gonna take it down. But yeah, look, I mean, if we say that that's what the Celtics need in order to get there, fine, great. The no margin for error is what kills you. Can the Celtics beat Miami? Yeah, of course they can. Can they beat them 4 in a row? Of course they could. If they swept the season series from them, would that have been shocking? No, it's not. Every time they take the court, they expect to win. But it doesn't mean they will. There's no margin for error. You have another cold shooting night, Miami a hot shooting night, and you're toast. So you've given yourself obviously no margin for error right now. And that's what makes it hard is can you in a league where admittedly the shooting variance is going to affect games, and sometimes it's just not going to fall for you, and you shrug your shoulders and say, whoops, the Celtics did it for 3 straight games, acting like shots were the only reason. It wasn't. But it plays a part in it. But it absolutely could doom you in a close one where the shots just don't drop. So we'll see what happens here. But again, we talked about it a little bit, Bobby and I on a preview pod earlier today. It does change the narrative a good bit, Sherrod, because you're going home for Game 5. And again, and I keep saying the same thing, but at 3-2, the Celtics have now twice, down 3-2 in a series, had to go on the road for a Game 6 and win to force a Game 7. That's against Philadelphia and against Milwaukee. Yep. So they've done it twice in the last 2 years already. 3-2 feels totally different. When you go home, you expect to win this game, even though they've been brutal at home. And if you're sitting there at 3-2 in a couple of days, it's different. The 3-0 lead doesn't matter at all anymore. It doesn't.
If it gets to that point where it's 3-2, clearly the series, you might as well say the Celtics have home court advantage at that point because they will be in a very comfortable position, and Miami will be feeling it, no pun intended. They'll be feeling the heat, the pressure that comes with expectations. And the Celtics have shown that when they're at their best, when everything is up against them and they have no margin for error. They have been their absolute best. And to me, it's frustrating as hell for Celtics Nation to see that because you're down 3-1 where you could easily be 2-2 or 3-1 really 2-2. It feels like this should be a 2-2 series at this point. And if you're 2-2, you're feeling pretty damn good. You figure you could probably win at home one and win one on the road and finish this thing in 6, which is kind of what I thought it would be. But they've given themselves a chance, and that's all they ever want. Just give themselves.
I didn't read that whole one. Sorry, I didn't read the whole thing. I saw "Happy Birthday, Josue" and they put it up there.
Yeah, well, the money's the money.
Happy 21st birthday.
It's going to that.
Oh yeah.
Make it rain.
So
$5 doesn't even get you a bottle of water at one of the clubs these guys are going to tonight. So
that's true.
But
I got a bottle of water that came with the best price around.
Yeah, free. Very nice.
That's great.
Yeah, we're not giving out. We don't give out free advertising on this show, Sherrod.
Which is why the only thing you see is the word. That's
Free.
all you see.
That's it.
Yeah, I make joke. We are waiting on the birthday boy and Bobby Manning to join us from Miami.
I haven't even heard from these guys.
They do exist. They're
I
here.
will say
I physically saw them.
we have a fun. We have a very good Jalen Brown quote incoming about
Energy shifting.
no
Close.
but one of those team meeting sort of situations.
Oh, here we go with the team meetings.
They did it. And here's the thing. We said this after game 3, and this is what stuck with me. This was what was going on in my head, especially like seeing in the first half here, is I don't believe there's 2 things that I don't think these guys fully realized. One, you don't have shots like this all the time. They were both Tatum and Brown were born into a very rare environment for young players. Young players drafted that high. You're drafted high, you go to hell for 4, 5, 6 years. You're in no man's land, okay? You're not. You usually don't make the playoffs for 2, 3, 4 years, and if you do, you're happy to be there. You do not just join conference championship teams, and that's what these guys did, okay? And that's been their life. They've been born into it, thinking that this is just something you do. I play and I go to the conference finals. It's just how it works. 5 of 7 years, 4 of 6 years, for Brown and Tatum respectively. And it's not that easy. And you could find yourself 5, 6, 7, 8, or never again before you get this far. And I don't think they will realize that until they squander an opportunity, spend a few more years, don't get back there and say, oh man, I really should have taken that a lot more seriously and not assumed it would happen. That's one. 2, what the story and the narrative about them and how it was going to change. They were going to go from princes of the NBA, ascending players, 2 all-NBA guys, 2 supermax guys, to you can't win with them like that. The narrative was going to completely change, and they weren't going to get it back until they found a way to win. And if they didn't, that was going to follow them. They're good little players. They can score. They'll never lead you to anything real.
Well, it's not out of the clear yet, John.
It's not out of the clear, but I wonder if part of that was like going out like this it's going to define us, we're going to be judged by this in a very harsh way. And it might also be the end of us. So if we want to keep this thing going, there's a lot riding on it. Even finishing with some pride, extending the series even to 6 games is going to hit a lot less. It's not going to hit nearly as hard as having gone out here in 4 games.
Yeah, because if they're able to extend it to that level where there's, it's a 6-game series, I think it's a lot more palatable for Celtics Nation to just say, okay, they got off to a crappy start. They made some mistakes. They clearly learned from it, but it was just too little too late. And that'll be the narrative, too little too late. But they have to figure out how, as a collective body, they can play with a consistent edge. I think that's that. When I think back to this game, and I think back to when they've been in a situation, John and Jimmy, where they've had to win, like Game 6 or Game 7s, those type of games, they play with a legitimate feistiness, edge, nastiness that you need to have in the postseason. If you watch Denver play, they got a bunch of badasses on that team. It's not just the Joker and friends. Jamal Murray, Bruce Brown, even Jeff Green is getting it done, in a big way for them. Aaron Gordon, who couldn't make a shot to save his life, now all of a sudden he's a 3-point sniper. You need to have that edge. Denver's playing with that edge. Teams that are legitimate title contenders play with a more consistent edge than what the Celtics are. Now, if they somehow figure it out between now and the end of this series, and they do what no one has ever done before, then we got a different kind of conversation. But as of now, they're just fighting just to be respectable, just to keep this thing competitive at this point.
Yeah, for me, it would need to go to 7, and it would need to be like a hard-fought Game 7 for me to kind of flip how I feel about this team. If they lose in 6, okay, great. They woke up and they won a couple games, but the fact still remains that they blew a massive opportunity to go to the NBA Finals. So I'm not going to jump to that yet. I'll wait to see what happens.
Yeah.
But
Jimmy, I don't disagree.
Yeah.
I would feel the same way. In fact, this team could get to the finals, win the finals, and I'll still question whether they have it in them. Because I'm not sold fully on their makeup. I don't. Sometimes we put too much stock in wins and losses, and I think people have given them too much credit to this point for having gotten to conference finals or getting to certain points, but not actually having won anything. So. The doubts will remain even if they emerge from this series or take it to 7 games or whatever, whether they're serious, whether they have learned anything from any of their past mistakes, whether they're capable of kind of evolving and playing a different sort of way. So I don't really know, but I think overall the national media narrative in terms of how these guys are perceived, how Charles Barkley talks about them on TNT, which matters, like how they're talked about, by other people would have been, soft. And that would have been hard for them to shake off after being bullied and made to look mentally weak as they had in those first 3 games. They had to take a stand. They really did. So Jalen Brown, like I said, he did talk about some of this here, and we're going to hear from Jalen right now about what kind of went on behind the scenes, even though he doesn't give a lot of details.
Jalen, Marcus was in your ear a lot tonight. He was talking. What did he do, and how did you guys kind of, like you talked about the galvanizing yesterday, how important was that? Because it just seems like after that, like you said, after game 3, you guys could have just made your, Cancun plans, and you didn't. You came back. How critical was that meeting, and Smart kind of always in your ear?
Like you said, I think that showed our character. Like right now, obviously we underperformed in the last 3 games, and you start to hear all these stories come out about X, Y, and Z. Who knows where they actually come from? And 99% of them is not true at all. So, we wanted to stay together. And I think that was the emphasis last night before we played today, was make sure we was on the same page. We didn't want to come out and lay an egg. We wanted to come out and play together. We wanted to come out, trust each other, come out, play some defense, have some pride about yourself, and find a way to win a game. And we are more than capable of doing it. So tonight we got it done. Smart was in my ear, letting me know where the game is at. Just keep being aggressive, keep making the right plays. It ain't always got to be you putting the ball in the basket. I helped us win tonight. So just continue to make the right plays, and the game will open up for you. And that's what Smart does, is just be a leader, be vocal, and we found a way to win.
Lots of love for Marcus Smart.
A lot of love for Smart. We bring in Josue, and this comment's not necessarily for you, but I'm just putting it up there. We are going to say thanks.
Wow, CV guy.
Thank you, CV. On his birthday, no less.
CV, can you at least give us a super chat to put something like that up here? Throw us a buck. Okay?
Happy birthday, Josue.
A buck and insult is fine. Happy birthday, buddy.
Thank you, John.
Yeah,
Thank you,
damn,
Jimmy.
John,
Sherrod.
you didn't have to put that up.
Sherrod sang the whole happy birthday song before the game, guys. You wouldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Did he?
The entire song?
That's a nice
No,
guy.
he's a good shit. But
I sang it in my head. I told him I sang it in my head.
He did say happy birthday, which is cool. And the Celtics give you a bit of a birthday gift here, I guess, right? I mean, we get some more basketball here. Get to see how interesting this Celtics team can make this series. And they start off with a big win today. Obviously they looked completely different in that second half. Jason Tatum finally scored in the fourth quarter, so that's good, right? But what Jalen Brown had to say, obviously, is what stands out the most out of these post-game comments, if you ask me, man. Like, not sharing details about this team meeting these guys have, I love that. I don't want to know the details. I just want to know that you guys are on the same page in the sense that everyone, whether it was a vent session, whether it was guys pointing fingers, whatever happened in this meeting, have it again. Have another one before Game 5 because it worked. It worked, and especially how this team looked in the second half because the first half wasn't so convincing. It was better than what we've seen, especially compared to Game 3. But that third quarter changed everything. Obviously hitting 3-point shots, rebounding, second chance opportunities, hustle plays, and of course Tatum again finding his offense in that fourth quarter after Joe Mazzulla had him put him back in, right? He saw Jimmy cook it in the third. He saw what the fourth quarter could look like, and he made a good call. That was another good call. His best call of the night, if you ask me, was Jalen Brown getting trapped in the corner here.
Yes.
calling that timeout triggered
There it is.
triggered a run and just refocused everybody.
That was
Josue.
huge. Yeah.
That's the Millar walk. Didn't you
Jalen
hear?
Brown agreed.
I said
Jalen
that was
Brown
the
agreed.
Millar walk from 2004.
Yeah, and shout out to Bobby for asking that, because Jalen kind of smirked while he was asking it, and then he was kind of just like, almost bit his tongue. He wanted to be like, finally, Joe, something like, maybe it was to that effect, but he just smiled. He just said, I really agreed with that decision from Joe. He just left it at that. So I like that.
Yeah. No, that is good stuff. And I love team meetings because,
Was it players only?
Players only at an undisclosed
players
area,
only team
location.
meetings. 50% of the time it works 100% of the time.
Yeah.
Well, you remember the last time they
you
did this?
never
Sean?
really
It was
know.
week
Well, you're not
three
going to
into
hear
the regular
about it if
season.
it doesn't work.
No, but I love it. When it doesn't work, you're out of options. It's your last card to play. But when it does, you're like, well, we had a meeting, and the team meetings crack me up.
Yeah, but when the player tells you about it and no one asks, like that's good, especially coming from Jalen. I like that. Jalen, he liked that meeting. You could tell he wasn't one of those guys being like, "Did this really get it done, guys?" I'm not quite sure. No, you could tell he probably went into this game thinking that was good that we all met last night or during the day, whenever it happened. He said it happened at some point yesterday. They met. So,
dude, we just got 200,000 IDRs. I don't know what that. Sherrod's gonna
probably like $20.
Translate that for us.
What is that?
I don't know, but it
John's
could be
Googling.
It's Indonesian money. It's $13.
Could be a lot. Okay, $13, Josue.
I love that.
I'll get you a drink at the club.
If somebody gets me 200,000 anything, I'm pretty geeked up about
Exactly.
it. Yeah. So that's
like
good.
$13.
Yeah, I immediately saw John's eyes. He was Googling. He was like, let's see how much this is.
I actually have a little rate. I have a sheet right next to the.
You got a converter?
I got a converter right there.
All of it.
Tells me everything.
Thoughts on Jalen Brown's winter hat look in Miami?
I like it. I mean, I feel like he did something.
Lying. You don't like it.
He did something similar last year, and he's one of those. He's a fashion guy. It's a little out there.
I don't know. It's a time and a
I
place.
don't like it. I don't like it just right.
I don't mind it.
It fits his personality.
By the way, I'm going to be the asshole that asks whether or not his hand is still an issue, right?
Yeah, I mean,
you are going to be that asshole.
You are.
It didn't look like an issue when he had that dunk on Bam on the baseline.
Well, he answered that in shoot around.
He can't shoot right now.
He didn't want to talk about it. Shoot around.
What's up, Bobby?
What's going on?
1 of 5 threes, 2 of 5 free throws. I don't love that. But
when he went to the line and missed 2, it was like, oh geez.
And they weren't even close. They were short. It looked off. Something looks off. We'll see what happens. Bobby, what do you got?
A good half game here.
That's it.
That's
Thank you, Bobby.
What we expected, John. Miami cooled off drastically in the third quarter. I think they shot 36% from the field. Celtics lit on fire and still felt a little too close for comfort after the third. A lot of mistakes in there, a lot of things to clean up, and that's what Jason Tatum just talked about. But all they needed to do was win, and they did. It was good enough. I thought the defense was great at times in that third quarter. The switching really sharpened. You saw him communicating after some of the miscues through the first 3 quarters and fixing those. And I thought Rob was great. A lot more Rob tonight, a lot more active and involved. Rob Grant got his revenge on Butler with the block to some degree. Didn't really want to puff his chest out on that in the locker room, but it happened.
He's scared to now.
He learned his lesson.
That's because Jalen no commented him the other day, and he's like,
no commented to death.
Jalen had another funny comment on him tonight, and I guess we'll talk Grant because I always want to talk Grant. You heard Jalen asked about his performance when he's locked in, when his head's screwed on straight, when he's focused. Grant's great.
Which means there's a when he's not portion of
that,
this. Yeah.
Which is the version of Grant that he sees most. Like, that's what that means.
This is I love Grant, but sort of comment.
So
right?
we wondered.
Backhanded compliment. Yep.
We've wondered all year.
I've gotten a few of those.
Why Joe keeps getting away from Grant. I asked something about that tonight too. Again,
because people think he's an idiot.
Yeah, and we thought, or at least I thought, that stemmed from Joe.
Don't agree with that, Bobby. Isn't that true?
Maybe
he was like, yeah.
Don't agree with that, Bobby. No, maybe. Stop it, Bobby.
Maybe his teammates thought he wasn't cutting it. We don't want him out there. He's got to settle down. maybe it's just certain teammates, but that's something that never crossed my mind. Maybe the team was calling for Joe to get Grant out of there.
You think some people are like, Grant, don't
Could
ever
be.
get in Jimmy's face again? Like, you think that something like that?
No, I think he
No,
just.
I mean all the way back to when he started sitting on the bench every night in February.
Oh, all right.
I think his ways are irksome, just to a lot of people. And that's all it comes down to is like, I don't need all of this, Grant. I just need you to do what I need you to do, and I do think that just, it grates on people a little bit. I do think like people love him in like a little brother sort of way, but also it's like, he's like one of those friends you have to apologize for. Like, yeah. You got to just give him time, get to know him, get to know him. He's all right.
No. The classic line is
he's really a nice guy, really.
He means
really.
well. Yeah.
He means well.
He means well.
He's
yeah.
a good
That's
guy.
line,
Just
yeah.
you got to give him a shot, okay?
Everyone's
You
got
might
that
have to
one
give him-
friend. Like, yeah, he's he's who he is, and he's in the little.
Yeah.
He's a little annoying, but he means well.
We've all got those guys. You might have to give him a lot of shots. But
So what is he? What is he now? I think he was 12 for 24 coming into tonight from 3. I got to double check that because I had it up at one point here. Coming in tonight, 12 for 24. Add what was he tonight? 4 for 6. He's 16 for 30 from 3 in the playoffs. You're a team that wants to shoot threes, and he hits it every time he puts it up. He's a versatile defender. He should be playing, and he should be playing a ton.
Joe has some explaining to do. Grant going to 0, it seemed, again, we thought Atlanta might not be the series for him. But when it got to Philly and he still wasn't playing, it's like, what are we doing
This
here?
is who he is.
Yeah.
He was giving you 10 points, 5-6 rebounds when he was playing 30 minutes a game. And they're not flashy stats, but they were important and they were consistent. Yes, I know he struggled for a while there. But
consistent, I don't know, Bobby.
Here's what Grant allows you to
guess who else struggled for stretches this year? Tatum, Brown, Smart, Brogdon's not even capable of making a shot right now.
Yeah, but on
what
the best nights,
is
though,
with you and Brogdon?
Because
hard on Brogdon.
it's just different treatment for different guys. Like
It's not. Brogdon has been one of your consistently better performers throughout the playoffs.
Bobby, he was 6th man of the year.
Who went ice cold for 2 games, and you're killing him right now.
I'm just saying, you let other guys.
Grant's playing 29 minutes, scoring 0 points multiple nights, and like, come on. I mean, like, you can't compare these two situations.
I'm just saying, you let other guys on this team all the time, and I know their guys are more stature, and their guys higher in the rotation.
And the guys are better.
I don't think so.
Grant's an everyday guy. Grant didn't sit once last year, and now it just happened regularly this season.
We don't agree with that.
But let's not overstate like the value. The reason I don't understand the value is Grant gives you the versatility to do a lot of different things with your lineup that they can't do. Like, they want shooting on the floor, but every time you're playing Marcus and Rob together, that's hurting you a little bit. So when you're factoring in Grant lineups, you're always putting a shooter on the floor, but somebody who can also defend and someone who acts as a big. If you're worried about defense, but you also need shooters, he fills both of those needs. So I like personally, and I like the Grant Rob lineups, even though Al played well tonight, when Marcus is not on the floor. And when Marcus comes back in, I like him coming back in with Al. That way you're always going to have 4 shooters on the floor in those situations. And I think that's what they should be looking to do. And then you use Grant whenever you need it, matchup dependent. It makes sense, but it's weird. It's just flat out weird. Bordering on malpractice, Bobby. I agree that he removed him completely.
Yeah. And it didn't explain it either. Just said match.
John, you can't say that. You can't say that. You were the captain of that ship. You didn't want to see Grant ever again.
I didn't think he was essential. I thought at the time when Hauser was playing over him, Hauser was playing better. Hauser was giving you shots and giving you different things that you needed. They're terrified in this series. If you don't want to just play 7 guys, Grant is your only option. They're terrified to put Hauser out there because they know Butler's going to hunt him on a switch every single time down and score. And so Joe won't play him a minute. So you're screwed. You have to, at this point, put Grant in there and roll the dice. Otherwise you have You have no rotations
You
at
just
all.
have 7 guys.
Yeah, you're screwed. And if one of them is cold, you're playing 6. You all of a sudden Brogden can't shoot anymore, and you've got to play him 30 minutes. So like you're so limited when you go when you shorten your rotation that far.
Right. Yeah. And look at the Heat tonight. When they lost Vincent, it was game over. They didn't have enough guys out there, and they looked tired in the second half. They're a thin team.
Lightning strike
floated above
What
me.
in the world just happened?
Yeah.
Wow. Hope I'm safe.
You're good, Bobby. You're
That's
good.
normal.
Relax.
You'll be fine.
So here's a developing take, and I did say after game 2 that the Celtics would lose this in 7. I swung it back around. That Vincent thing's got to be scary if you're the Heat. And I know Josue was in their locker room. He said he's fine. He came back into the game. But it was just an example where Vincent goes down. Hero just got on the court again, so he's not going to play in this series, I would imagine, if it extends much longer.
Thanks, Anthony.
Damn, Josue.
Strus.
Some money.
Yo, okay. All right. I got you, Anthony. My man. Appreciate you, man.
Go ahead, Bobby. Sorry.
Strus, from what I've heard, is playing through an ankle, and you can tell he just really hasn't made a huge impact in this series. You're missing Oladipo. Zeller's not great right now. Lowry has barely done anything in this series. So you start crossing off all these names off the Heat lineup, and you're left with Butler, Bam, Love, who got himself hurt last game and played 11 minutes tonight, Martin and Zeller and Robinson. So you're talking about what, 3, 4, 5 healthy, consistent guys on that Heat side?
What's your take? Say it.
I'd be a little worried if I'm the Heat right now.
What's your take?
What do you say?
What are you trying to say?
I'm 3-1.
Say it, Bobby. Say it.
Are you flipping your prediction?
I think this series could very easily go 7.
There it is.
And what happens?
I don't know. Coin flip as always.
Say it.
Say it.
We'll give it time.
No, I'm still picking the Heat in this series, but it has a
Okay.
chance to go long now. It really does. The Celtics are deeper.
All
They're
right.
fresher. They're
We'll talk to him after the game.
a little galvanized now.
They're antagonistic is what they are.
They are
Yes.
antagonistic.
I mean, that's the word that Jalen used to describe that meeting, right?
Also, another
Antagonistic?
success for the team meeting.
Galvanized.
Awesome.
The team meeting is undefeated. Steve Buckley had a great question tonight that had the whole room laughing. He was like, I need some color in this team meeting. Were you guys in a diner? Were you guys run into each other in the hall?
I go, yeah, Buck. They had a couple of shakes. They all, went to the diner, the local diner.
Brown didn't share.
I guess you had to be there.
Brown didn't share much, but he said they looked each other in the eye, talked to each other. Tatum
They said, I love you. They said, I love you.
Tatum said they didn't want to be defined by
That's
this.
what
Well,
Mazzulla said.
the defined we talked about. Here is Tatum talking about the meeting. Let's hear this.
Yeah, we just, everybody was in good spirits, right? Everybody was upbeat.
Sure, why not?
And, as cliche as it sounds, we just tried to take it one game at a time. We tried to break it down of, we didn't play well those first 3 games. We didn't deserve to win.
Galvanized.
We didn't want that to define us, define the season. And we still got a long uphill battle to go. But tonight was a good start, right? And, just try to carry this momentum towards Thursday.
I would run through a friggin' wall for that guy.
Here's the thing, John, though.
that shit just
Who else
fires
is
me
fired up? Yeah, who else?
Oh
is
my
ready?
God.
I'm not gonna sleep tonight.
I'm ready to play another 48.
Here's the thing, though, John. Let's give him a
Jalen's
little,
like, you see what I'm talking about? You see what I mean?
let's give him a little bit of credit.
What exactly, Bobby?
Tonight, so my favorite play of tonight, of course, was the timeout Joe called.
Yes.
Brown was stuck in the corner.
I loved it.
Yes, that was the Millar timeout.
They go in. Yes.
I said the Millar
it was the
walk.
Robert. It was the Robert Steele.
I called it the Millar walk, not the Robert Steele, but that's fine.
The Millar walk would set up the steal right here.
Yeah. So I love that. But coming out of that timeout, Tatum's pulling the guys together who are coming into the game. I think it was like Smart, Rob, and someone else. and he's got his hands up. He's talking to them. He's pointing at some stuff. He's being vocal right there. And I Smart explained it after and said he was just saying, we got this. We're in, we're here. I don't know what he said exactly, but his arms are up. He's pointing at stuff. And then next couple plays, guys' arms are up on the defensive end. They're switching sharp. They're making plays. All I wanted to see was a little bit of vocal leadership from Tatum, and I don't think it comes natural to him. But he tried tonight, and he set an example on that end. Smart said, I thought he got active.
Hey guys.
I'm going to give him credit here.
I actually agree, Bobby. I thought he was much more demonstrative in almost all of his actions on the court. Even little things where he wanted the ball and didn't get it. He said, come on. You know, he was the way he was directing
got
traffic.
Them up the court quickly.
Getting up the court with urgency, directing traffic, pointing to where guys needed to be. And even they talk about on the sideline, pulling guys in and talking to them and the communicating. Different dude. You guys were there. He looked more verbal throughout.
Yes,
definitely.
Yeah. Definitely. Not wasn't even close in terms of his vocal in this game compared to previous games we've seen. And they're going to need that. I mean, that's part of the deal that you sign up for when you play the way he does. And the sooner he embraces that and really starts to work in that towards being better at that, the better this team is going to be.
Yep.
Yeah, he's got to get uncomfortable, man. Do things that are gonna, light a fire under your teammates, and something that you haven't done. So it's that impact in itself is gonna be like, okay, wow, Tatum he's different tonight, and I saw that for sure. But it wasn't just him. I mean, Al was vocal. Marcus, after timeouts, just double checking with guys, making sure everyone's on the right page. I saw some of that, especially in that second half, and I think it made a humongous difference, especially when Eric Spoelstra tried to, freeze them out, freeze the offense through those timeouts, and that came the Celtics. Even when Jimmy was going off the way they did, they survived that, went to the fourth, and continued to do the same thing that they were doing in the third.
Yeah, but how much of this was just the Celtics hitting shots tonight?
That's a big part of it in that third quarter. I'll give you that.
You know what? That was a part of it, but that shot making was triggered by their defense. Their defense was much more present than their offense. And they wound up shooting 51% from the field, but the defense is what really won them this game. In that third quarter, when they went on that 16-0 run, their defense was just absolutely in all the different passing lanes.
I love it.
Yeah, I mean, that was the defense that we thought we would see much more of in this series.
Those were two other plays I loved in the third.
That's what scared them, Sherrod. That's a really good point. I feel like that's when they kind of froze the Heat. They're like, oh, wait, they can do this, for long periods of time. And then they turn to Jimmy, and then, guys like Khalid and the three-point shots, the guys that were killing them in that first half, they just it wasn't the same. They couldn't get those same kind of looks that they generated in the first half. But yeah.
Yeah, look, it's hard to not point to shooting as a big deal. I just don't think you can't tell me that they played the same way both offensively and defensively in the second half as they did through most of the series, just in terms of their intensity and their movement, their ball movement, trying to find that open shooter. I mean, these were great looks.
Yes, definitely. I just wanted to check the temperature on that because it was a big factor in things.
It's impossible not to look at it, but also it's impossible not to look at it.
So if that continues, like I said, John, we did our show earlier. If the Celtics shooting heats up and the heat cools off, and man did it, this is going to swing fast because that's been a big factor in this series so far is the shot making in both directions. Tatum even got going from mid-range in this one. He hit a floater. To your point, Sherrod, the breakouts really helped him get easy looks. I love the steal by Horford in the lane and the steal by Brown on Butler that started that transition run for them. That third was just great. What did they score? 38 points in it? Awesome quarter, especially at the first half. I thought
12 from deep. 38 points, 7 to 12. Yeah, Jimmy scored 15. Jimmy Butler scored 15 in that quarter.
The first half kind of stunk, so that was very important that they came out gunning like that. White got going too tonight, which was really important. Brown kind of figured things out a little bit too against his defense, as he keeps talking about how they're forcing them to score in non-traditional ways, especially for himself. He can't really go right at them. So, like I said, I heard Smart in the locker room after and talking to one of the assistants saying, we just got to win a quarter at a time. We're focused on winning these quarters right now. Forget the game, forget getting to 7. We're taking it 1 quarter at a time. And you definitely saw that tonight in terms of, you lost the first and the second, or you tied the second. And then third, you come out and get an overwhelming win there, and then you carried it over to the fourth. So hopefully it carries back to the Garden because they've played pretty bad there.
Yeah, they
Facts.
Facts, my dog. Also, facts. I'm dipping up, boys. I will see you guys Thursday, and hopefully I'll have the hard hat on.
Hard hat win tonight, huh?
Hard hat win. You know it. Deuces.
See you, Jimmy.
Later,
Good luck.
Jimmy.
See you, Jimmy.
So,
Bobby thought this team was done. He didn't wear the bucket hat.
He
I didn't forget. I left it off. Like
He
Jimmy
left it
did with
off
the
because he was
hard
like,
hat.
"This thing is over."
Yeah.
This wasn't a celebration. I was getting ready for a funeral here.
Yeah. Well, we are gonna wrap it in just a little bit here. I think we'd be remiss not to mention whether did anyone ask Jalen about the injury situation? Is anything bothering him?
I asked him at shoot around.
He was asked to shoot around. Oh, you asked him.
Yeah,
Right.
he didn't want to talk about it. So I'll ask him again at some point because I think he was in I don't want to be making excuses mode. But nothing on that today.
Huh. Interesting.
I do have something though on Brogden, who again came into the series with a right forearm strain.
Everything is short for him right now.
He's been getting a lot of treatment on that arm, and again today after the game, huge ice pack on it at shoot around, huge ice pack on it after the game. Again, a ton of treatment. I didn't get to talk to him, and hopefully I will back in Boston, but he seems hurt right now. There's no doubt about it. This isn't the Brogden we've seen all year shooting the ball. 2 points over the last 2 games.
Yeah.
He's in a bad place physically, it seems like.
Something looks wrong
You think
there
it's
for
physical?
sure.
Yeah, I think it's that right arm. You got to think so with the way he's shooting.
Yeah.
That shot was so pure all year.
I wonder if he bounces
He's
back.
missing layups now. I mean, now
That's
he's
what-
missing
yeah.
shots at the rim.
I think that's the part that concerns me. That could be something with his health because you got to make those layups. If you don't have the shots to fall, like he has that capability with his footwork to blow by people, but he just hasn't been doing it. I mean, John, you tweeted that thing out today. You were like, "It seems like he's aged 10 years in the past 5 days." I'm like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, that's pretty accurate, man." Like he just looks slow and like that aged guard who's like way past his prime years, and that's not the case for Brogdon, right? He's not anywhere near that stage of his career, but he looks like that, or he has. So
yeah,
that first half rotation for him was really rough on both ends. So I don't know what's happening. He's not in the injury report right now, but he was coming into the series. So Joe's gonna talk tomorrow, and I'll try to get something on him.
Okay. We are going to wrap it just a minute. Real quick, we want to let you guys know one more sponsor here, Athletic Greens. Check that out if you haven't already. It's been a sponsor that's with us for a while, so you know it by now. But for those who don't and are interested in taking charge of their health, check out Athletic Greens, one-stop shopping for all of your supplement needs. Instead of going out and chasing 75 million pills and supplements, just go get Athletic Greens. It's all there. 75 vitamins, minerals, probiotics, adaptogens, 1 scoop, cup of water, bang, you're done for the day. And like I said, takes care of everything that you're probably, chasing 1 pill at a time right now, trying to take care of gut health, recovery, immune system. What else you guys take it for?
Energy
is a big one for sure. If you do support our sponsors, you'll get one of these t-shirts as well. Bobby,
we need energy this time of year.
Bobby,
these games are late.
Say it, Bobby. Celtics in. Say it.
I can't.
That's all right. It's good.
They won 1 game, John, and I think there are some
This is good for
factors here
Celtics
that could
fans.
send this. There's some factors here that could send this along,
But we don't know who
we
don't know what they're going to look like when they take the court next time. They did not get the benefit of the doubt to have anybody's trust in them that they can.
And again, I like the confidence tonight, but
Yep.
do it again.
Do it again.
You didn't accomplish anything here tonight. You kept your season alive 1 more day. You got to do it again.
Yep.
At home, where I think I read today they're 3-4, but they do have a plus 5.6 net rating, which shows that they've just lost some really key runs late in games
Yeah.
to lose a lot of those games at home.
Final thoughts, Sherrod?
Do it again.
Yep.
Do it again. I mean, it's real simple. Your defense triggered this win, and you need to keep that as the primary focus going into Game 5. Let your defense set the tone for your play. You do that more times than not, you're going to win. But to the point that we made earlier, they've got such a slim, non-existent margin for error. It's going to be tough. It's going to be really, really tough to climb their way out of this one.
Yep. No doubt.
Yeah, more the
Josue,
same.
birthday boy, before you go light it up, the Miami sky here.
I mean, after we get our work done, of course, but no, just the same thing with the same approach with the defense, but just double down. You know what I mean? Like I just think the Celtics can take it to another level. Khalid Martin going 6 for 6 again. I don't think that happens in Game 4 or Game 5 rather, but
he's unreal.
There shouldn't be another guy like that, and I just get the feeling that whether it's Max or whether it's Gabe Vincent, maybe he goes 4 for 4, 5 for 3. I don't want to see any of that. So hopefully the Celtics defense can be so empowering that it intimidates this team. Because again, like I've been saying all series, these guys aren't afraid of the Celtics. They're still not afraid of the Celtics. So going back home, crowd on your side, hopefully that can corral them to just put together that kind of defense that just can suffocate this team, this Miami Heat team, and get the Celtics out to a double-digit lead and keep it. Because that's what's key, right? This Miami Heat team, like time and time again, has been able to wipe out their deficits 4 or 5 minutes. Celtics have to have their defense at a certain level where that's not happening. And hopefully we see that. If that happens, I think the Celtics win for sure, especially at home.
Yeah, for me, of all of the key stats between the way that they play defense and the hitting the threes, thing that I'm keying back in on is those basically, 2 turnovers total after the first half. That
right.
What of all of the things that we've said with the Celtics in terms of habits that drive me the most nuts is it's a guarantee. The more they dribble, the more they turn it over. The more they move the faster they move the ball and the less they dribble, the better shot quality they get, the more the offense is humming. It's so basic. Like, look, shots aren't always going to fall at this clip, but for the love of God, you're putting the ball in the hands of Jalen Brown and Jason Tatum, neither of whom has a particularly good handle, and they're just trying to dribble into the teeth of it.
That was brutal in the first quarter.
They're just trying to dribble into the teeth of a defense that knows they're coming. Don't do that. Do the other thing. Sometimes it's as easy as that. I always find when the Celtics, the thing that drives me most nuts about the Celtics is when things get hard, they lean into the stuff they're worst at instead of the stuff that they're best at, which is their defense and moving the ball and trying to find open shooters. It's where they find success. Just have faith in the process. It's what, Bobby, you and I said today. Don't forget what you just did. Don't go once around the fish tank and forget what happened. Like, remember what was successful. Repeat it. Okay. And if you lose, but go out doing the right thing. Don't go out playing the game the Miami Heat want you to play. And so I hope that they remember it. I don't know whether or not they will, but we will see, next game as well. I do have a couple of programming notes before we go. As always, let me see if I can find them. Where I lost them. Hold on, guys. Sorry. Do I have it? Yes, I have it. What happens after the Garden Report, guys? Do you remember?
The late
night show.
Yeah, the late show. And now we've got reason for positivity, and these guys going to bring it here. The Celtics late.
No new graphic?
That's what I found.
Damn, buddy.
I like this
I
one
think
anyway.
they gave me another one. I think they had Al, but I didn't have it. I didn't get it in time.
This one's got my 2 favorite guys, Luke and Grant, so I'm good with it.
I didn't get it. I think Ahmed had it for the promo, but that's the one I have. But it's coming up right after the show, so you guys should check it out. If you haven't already, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and for more content from Josue and Bobby and all of our other fantastic Celtics podcasters, including Sherrod Blakely, partnered with Gary Washburn and Kwani A. Lunis with the A-List podcast.
This thing's not over.
Several others. There'll be other post-game pods coming out as well. So make sure you check those out.
What up, Max? We got some work to do.
And Max, and also check out the audio version of the Garden Report. If you didn't catch the full show or you want to re-listen to portions of it in your car, you can grab the audio version as well wherever you get your podcasts. Celtics do it. They do it. Bobby Manning predicting Celtics in 7. First guy to jump out and do it. Congratulations. Yep.
That was that's what's on the site, but I did flip again.
Stay with it, my man. No, actually, don't flip. You not flipping is good. Stay where you got. Stay where you are.
That's what I'm saying for Celtics fans.
Stay where you are for Celtics fans. Thank you guys for joining the chat. Even the trolls, even the Miami Heat fans.
We appreciate you.
Even the people, even those of you who hate us, the people giving us 200,000 of something. That was all great. All of the guys who paid for Josue's night out in Miami, we appreciate you guys too. We have at least one more. We will see you guys on Thursday. We're psyched about it. So at least one more Garden Report, Game 5.
Boston.
Back to Boston. Thanks to Sherrod, Josue, and Bobby doing work in Miami. Follow all of those guys and all of their written materials. Sherrod at
Sherrod Blakely.
But what also, is the
no, man,
Substack is Sherrod Blakely Substack.com.
Sherrod Blakely, Substack.com. These guys, you can check them out, CLNSmedia.com. We are done. Celtics late show is coming up right after this.